Please join me in welcoming Mr. Frank Randle.
Wow. Thank you, Art. Appreciate that. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you, and I won't talk a lot because this is, I'm somewhat of an introvert and this scares the heck out of me. Even though I do a lot of tours, I generally have props that I can go to, and this is a little different. Daughter-in-law put this together over the week, and this will just rotate around to give you some idea of what goes on the farm, because there's a lot going on. Just to give you, and I hate to bore you with life history, but that's what I was told to do, to give you a little overview of what goes on. I came here as a student in 1969, so I was a student here before most of you were even born. I was actually recruited to come here by E.V. Smith, the dean of the School of Ag at that time. He met me at a science fair in Mobile, and I was doing did a science project on, what was it, Papilius disjunctus. No entomologist in the group. I think they've changed the size. A wood-boring beetle, scavenger, and doing sound communication. He thought that was real interesting, and he said, "We need you at Auburn." And this was in May, and I got accepted into Auburn in record time. I don't know how he did it, but by the 1st of June, I was here because I was headed to Samford. Already everything was set up there because my mom and dad had gone to Samford, and I was online to go there. Anyway, ended up at Auburn, and have been here since 1969. I'm one of the guys that stayed. Met my wife here on a blind date, and my wife's an RN. She had a good job at the hospital here, and I ended up going to work for the state of Alabama actually before I graduated as a state bee inspector, honeybee, because that was what I was really interested in at the time. Still am, but that was the primary reason I came to Auburn, was because of entomology and the ability to actually do some honeybee work, in the South. Things progressed. I worked for the state for a while and decided that I was not going to be a good bureaucrat. When I first started, they gave me a car, a credit card, and said, "Go meet everybody, and you help the commercial people any way you can, because this industry needs help." And I did that for almost 10 years and had a great time. Got to travel the state of Alabama, meet all kinds of fascinating people doing all kinds of fascinating things, traveled all over the country, ended up with the Apiary Inspectors of America, a professional group, trying to solve all kinds of regional issues that were going on, but they kept bumping me up. I was a field guy, and then you became a supervisor of people, and then they said, "Well, you need to come to Montgomery and stay in the office and, write letters and talk on the phone." And I went, "Can't do that. I like to be outside too much." And so at that time, basically through a great leap of faith, I quit. I say I retired, but I just quit. And kind of started living what I really wanted to do, and that was farm. And had a lot of good people at the university here, people in the community that I stand on their shoulders, because they opened doors for me, let me do things, had enough faith in me to say, "We think you can do something," and gave me lots of opportunities, which has been, as you look back on life, you start to reflect on how many people's shoulders you actually stand on, how many people mentored you, and that's one reason I do what I do, because you need to give back some too. You don't need to be just taking. All this kind of came about while I was at Auburn. I got involved with a project with Tuskegee University with Booker T. Whatley. And Booker T was a unique individual that said what he thought to administrators, to anybody else that would listen, and created quite a stir in the media and everywhere else with his book, How to Make $100,000 on 25 Acres. And I was involved in some of the preliminary research that was done via Auburn and Tuskegee with honeybees. And that's how I kind of got to know him. In all that, he had always advocated starting small, having no debt, or very limited debt, and doing something that nobody else was doing. And that kind of caught my eye in the late 70s. And so we planted our first blueberries in 1976. I think we planted an acre to start with, so I wasn't starting real small. That acre has grown now to about 5 acres, and all that is a pick-your-own operation. And as this thing moves around, we were in the bee business. When I left the state, they allowed me to keep bees while I was working with the state. So I had done this since I was 10 years old. And that allowed me to have a cash flow, a cash income when I quit, because I had basically an established business, and we simply grew that business. And that was kind of the golden time in the beekeeping area in Alabama, because it was relatively easy to make a honey crop, which was worth at the time anywhere from 18 to 25 cents a pound. It's astronomical that now. We used to sell a 55-gallon drum of honey for $250 and thought we were making out like bandits. And now that same barrel is $2,500 if you can make it. So it's just, the change is dramatic. During that time, we sold honey, we sold packaged bees and queens, and shipped primarily to the Middle East. We shipped packaged bees from here, drive from here to Atlanta, put them on a Lufthansa, and fly to Kuwait or Saudi Arabia or Yemen. We sold honey in 55-gallon drums and 5-gallon containers to Saudi Arabia, container load at a time, which is phenomenal when I go back and think about being able to make that connection in Auburn, Alabama, in 1979, 80, 81, all the way up into the early 90s. At that time, my wife became allergic to honeybee stings. And whenever she became allergic, she became allergic. She almost died on me a couple of times by getting stung. And the doctor said, "You got to decide, Frank, bees, your wife." That was a no decision, really. So we eliminated the bee business as a business, and then moved more into the small fruits. At the same time, we were getting into the sheep business, and had started looking at a lot of alternative enterprises on relatively small piece of property. And things have just progressed. We've had a lot more failures than we've had successes. Learn more from your failures than you will ever learn from your successes, because it taught us what not to do, and some things that we should have done that we didn't do. And as this has progressed, I've been fortunate to have 2 sons, Franklin and Zachary, that have done other things and then come back to the farm. Franklin runs the animal component, and Zachary youngest son runs the small fruit vegetable component. And then as a way that we have begun to market ourselves, instead of being in the commodity markets, we sell directly to the consumer. We eliminate the middleman. We sell directly to the individuals, a chef, whoever, but directly to an individual. And so we know our customer base very well because we see them face to face. And they in turn have helped shape us as to what they want and what they expect. So we listen to them and then respond to the customer. And these customers become more than customers. They become friends, and over time become a family, real community. And that's kind of what we were always shooting for, was to have some major connection with our shareholders, with our consumers, with our customers, whatever you want to call them. And which is, from a farming standpoint, is very rewarding, because you see the pleasure that somebody gets from eating the best turkey they've ever eaten, or the best lamb chop, or the finest blueberry, or the best broccoli. You get reinforced, because you're not getting to be a millionaire, I promise you. But you're getting something that's probably a little bit better than just money. Money's transient. We have it, we don't have it. You know, it's worth something today, it's worth not much tomorrow. But the interpersonal relationships that we have with our customers, our friends, is what keeps you going, getting up 7 days a week, feeding animals, looking at crops, doing the best that you can do to bring good food to your clientele. And we do that, you know, in a variety of ways. And as this thing scrolls through, one of the ways that we've really enjoyed as a family is with our farm dinners, where we and I say we, I'm not real technologically advanced like all of you in here are. I don't do the internet and social media and all that, but all of my kids and daughters-in-law, they are very proficient at this. And this is the way that we have been able to market our farm dinners, where we simply contract with a local chef. He comes, he takes whatever food, vegetables, fruits, meats, whatever we have available in season, and he constructs a meal out of it. And then we have local wineries, microbreweries, we have all kinds of folks that come together, and they, along with the family, put together this kind of white tablecloth event, which occurs outside on the farm. And it's just, we opened it up on the website, and then 24 hours later it's sold out, and then the real work begins for us, because we've got to do all of the prep. We've got to get tables, chairs, cloths, wine glasses, all this. Got to get 10,000 details put together, which my daughters-in-law and my wife are phenomenal at doing. I get to talk about it, but they do the work. And then we have people from literally all over the world show up. That some of them we know, most of them we don't know. But time you sit down to a really fine meal. So far it's been really good weather every time. And you get to talk to people, and we figured, the initial time we did this, we figured a couple hours, maybe 2.5, folks would eat, be gone. The last 3 or 4 times we've done this, it was like, it generally starts at 6, and we do a little farm tour. At 10:30, we're getting a little tired, because we've been doing this all day. I mean, people really connect over good food. They really do. I mean, people that don't even know each other. We've had folks, last year we had a really interesting, I think I told this in one group or another, we had, since you put it out on the internet, you get the whole world. We got a response from a couple of guys in Atlanta that wanted to know if they could come. I said, you know, you pay us, you can come. Turns out they're from Australia. They were in Atlanta for a business meeting of some type, and they said this will be interesting. And they were the entertainment for 75 people plus for stories like you wouldn't believe. You know, Crocodile Dundee had nothing on these guys, but that's the kind of folks that we've ended up with. You know, anything, you know, lawyers, you know, accountants, judges. It's just phenomenal. Professors, you know, just phenomenal from the type of folks that show up and build community within the group. How much longer do you want me to talk? I mean, that's kind of what we do in a real quick nutshell, and I know, you know, I don't know how this format goes, so you just...
A few more minutes and then open it up for questions.
I'll just say this. Anytime anybody has a question or I'm not clear, raise your hand or stand up and shout, whatever, because yes, sir. If you have the dollars, because we're in this for dollars. This is a marketing tool. This is, you know, we're marketing ourselves in this. It's like the CSA is simply a mechanism to market the food. That's true. Yes.
You said you sell food right to the consumer, but didn't I see Day Springs on your website?
Yes.
So
Yeah. It's multiple faceted. Day Spring sells our lamb and some eggs. You see, I'm the old guy in the group, and the two sons and daughters-in-law, I'm stepping back, and they're stepping forward. So I literally sometimes don't know everything that's going on, which is fine. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be.
When you went from working for the state to working for yourself,
Right.
what was the biggest challenge that you had, and how did you overcome that?
Excellent question. For me, the biggest challenge initially was deciding to quit when I first job, perfect. But the challenge was dollars. Fortunately for Frank, I had a wife who saw the same vision. This would not happen without my wife. Would not have happened. Excellent job. Health insurance, which is going to be the problem with anybody that works for themselves. It's very difficult, especially if you have a family. I mean, it's just a fact. That was the biggest challenge, but I had great support from my wife that shared the vision. She grew up on a chicken farm in Albertville, so she understood where I was coming from. It was scary, and to be quite honest with you, I got very depressed whenever I quit. And there were some folks that said, you know, you need to come and help me, just to stay busy while you're kind of figuring all this out. And I'm eternally grateful to those people, but there were a number of people that had enough faith in me, I reckon, and saw my passion that they said, go. But it's a scary thing. Sir?
How did you end up on the piece of land where you're at?
Chance. We had rented a place from a prof from Harry Amling in horticulture that had a place south of us, about way on down in the edge of Macon County, and we were driving back and forth going to work and by the place that I live now. And one day a for sale sign came up, just a little sign, somebody hand printed for sale, and I just happened to pull in and say, what are you asking for it? What's available? And the guy said, you know, I bought a farm in Macon County, and I need to move. I forget what, 600 acres, and I need to sell this place and move there. And all that happened within probably 60 days from the time we saw it, because he was ready to go, because he had been living in a dairy barn trying to farm, and his wife was living here, and they never saw each other, and she was saying, we got to go, we got to get together, and it was a great time, but it was pure chance, pure chance. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering, with the consumer being so sensitive about food poisoning and whatnot, do you have the similar problems with customers, and how do you deal with that?
Similar problems with what?
Food poisoning.
Food poisoning?
Yes.
Well, we are not organic certified, but we do all the things up to the point of having another bureaucracy that I have to deal with at a governmental level. I've been a governmental guy, and I'll probably offend somebody here. But, you know, we've come to help you. You know, I didn't need another layer. I don't need another layer of bureaucracy laid on me, another set of rules. I have Frank Randle's personal integrity. You're welcome to come anytime that we're awake. You can see what we do. I've got zero to hide. So we're following the same practices, the same protocols that organic certification calls for. So we don't use any herbicides, pesticides, all that good stuff. We don't do that on the places that we are growing food. So that has never been an issue with anybody, because we're basically self-certified. You know, you come look. You can come look. You can come even participate if you don't want to.
I know your two sons, Franklin and Zachary, actually.
Yeah.
Zachary was an excellent student, took my class. My question was, how did you inspire them following your footsteps? Because that's very important, especially this generation, we need more people in that line of
To be very candid, I have not a clue. All that I did, all that I've ever done is say, guys, do what your passion is. I don't care what it is. We're behind you 100%. And then from the time they were little bitty guys, they went with me everywhere. I didn't say, no, you can't go. I'm going. If we went to a beekeepers meeting, if we went to, you know, the supply store, wherever we went, those guys were with me. And I don't care whether they're boys or girls, it didn't matter. I just happened to have two guys. I mean, they went with me. And so they were mostly around adults their whole, I mean, we didn't play baseball, we didn't play football. We worked. We had a good time working. I try to make it fun. I try to make it a game. And you know, it's just a very strong bond that's been developing over, you know, now 34 years. So I'm assuming just being around, you know, myself and other people that had the same interest, you know, I just thinking back, they didn't have a lot of, you know, they weren't on ball teams. They weren't distracted from what we were doing, and they always had a little enterprise going. My dad always tried to have the first tomato in the community, and early on, Zachary, it was always a competitive edge with him when he first figured out he could grow a tomato to beat Granddaddy. You know, and we would do stuff, you know, we'd start them in the house in January, so we'd have a plant and, you know, put, you know, all kinds of stuff that we did. And we made it a game, but we made it a game with rewards. So that if he had the first tomato or whatever, and somebody wanted it and he sold it, that's your money. And they figured out real quick that if we're successful in an enterprise and we're getting rewarded, either dollars or some, buy something that they've been wanting, but a reward for what they were doing, well, it's not rocket science. It's just, it's just being involved with them. Right? That's cheap philosophy. I don't know. Yes, sir.
At what point did you decide to start using low impact organic methods, and what was the driving force behind that decision?
Basically, when we first started all this, we were, and Booker T had a lot to do with this. It's looking for something that was cost efficient, sustainable over the. I know that's a hot word right now, but sustainable over the long run. Something that you could produce yourself, and that's why. Again, this is personal opinion. That's why I think animals are an important part of any small farm, because it's a way to cycle and recycle nutrients, to move nutrients around, and that's kind of what started the thought process. And then as that has evolved, it's become, this has been going on for now 40 years. It's not a quick fix, but as you go into it over the long term, thinking long term, then it gets easier and easier and easier, because everything starts to get balanced out again. From the soil life, just everything starts to balance, and you don't end up with a lot of issues that I see with folks that are in monoculture agriculture. You just simply don't see the problems. I mean, we don't have the insect issues that other folks do. I mean, we've got insect issues, but we don't have them. We don't have the same disease issues at the same level that other folks do. But that wasn't initially true, but it has gotten better as time has gone by. And we're not there, and probably never will be, but, we live in the world, and it's not a perfect world, so. Yes, ma'am.
What were some of the ways that you developed the customer base when your CSA first started?
Okay. Ways we developed a customer base whenever the CSA first started. We were had always been kind of doing that, but not in a formal way. And here again, this is where the Auburn connection and the family. Connor Bailey really here is the guy that really had been buying stuff from us and really pushed. Anybody that knows Connor know he pushed, and he pushed hard in a very positive way. I mean, in a very positive way. That this is something. You got the skill set, and you got the place, and you got the community that will support you to go. And then what really is the internet. Being able to communicate instead of early CSAs, everything relied on a postcard or a telephone call. But with the internet, I can write out one email. Here's what we got available. Here's what's available. Hit reply all, boom, and it goes out to 2,000 people. Facebook the same way. Bam. I haven't taken up a lot of my time, and I know I'm not going to get, at least I hope we don't get 100% back. You get a percentage of those back, and then that's when it really took off. It really took off whenever Zachary graduated from Auburn and said, this is what I want to do. Develop an email list, and then simply send an email, to, I think like 100 people, and then they in turn forwarded that to another 100, and it's just y'all all know this. It's phenomenal. I mean, this is, y'all are, it's, to me, it's new, but to y'all, it's normal. But this just is phenomenal what you can do by one, also what you can undo. I mean, it's you know, it's plus and minus. So you have to be very careful. And I've got, you know, again, daughters-in-law that are very good at this. You know, that is not Frank, because I don't like that.
You said you're in the process of kind of pulling yourself back and letting your sons take over.
Yes.
And your daughter-in-law
Yes.
a very
Yes.
large part of it.
Yes.
Have y'all had any struggles or headbutts where you kind of don't want to let go of one part, but you want to let them take?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
And
Good.
what struggles you have with that? Because that, for a lot of us,
Yeah.
we're fighting the same fight.
Yeah, that's
And
a good.
It's a good fight to have, but
Excellent question. Excellent question. First thing is the old guy's got to decide, you know, it's time. I am not going to be here forever. Things are going pretty good. We need, you know, to let the next generation step in. It's a hard decision. It brings tears to your eyes, to me, because you got to let go of something that you, with a lot of other people, built. Yeah, there's been lots of, I think what they call legacy moments, where you, I mean, we sit around, we cry, we laugh, we, you know, tell each other we love each other, but, you know, we got to do this. So basically, what I've done, and this is not for everybody, is, and you know, you're transferring assets. I own the land. You're transferring assets to the next generation, and it's complicated. It's very complicated because you got tax issues, you got all kinds of issues with governmental agency, you got just all kinds of issues. And so it's, you know, I thought it was important to start early when I still feel good, I'm still, you know, can still think, to start that process. And that process is a kind of a long-term process. It's not something we decide, well, next week we're going to do that. Because to let go of something that you have built and felt passionate about is, I don't care what it is, whether it's teaching or whatever, it's hard to let go. But you have to make a cognizant decision. The boys have made that easier in that both of them have specific interest and have expressed that interest for a while and have shown a great deal of good business sense, making good decisions. I mean, just hush, just hush, just hush, just hush, just hush. And this has occurred. This occurred early. This hadn't just occurred in the last few years. It's letting them decide. All right, we're going to buy this set of rams, based on, and because we've got all the data and we've got all this, you know. All right, you decide. I write the check. You decide. It turns out a really good decision. So you made a really good decision. And once that kind of trust is developed between this generation and the next generation, I feel real good. But it's a process. It's not a decision. I mean, I think it's a process, not a decision that you make arbitrarily. But it ain't easy on my part. It's not easy on their part either, because they're both now starting to realize the pressure that is on them now. Which I think is pretty good. They're starting to realize now, ooh, ooh, that stuff comes regular, doesn't it? Yeah. But yeah, tough. Thank you.
So you guys were kind of ahead of your time. So what is on the horizon for Randle Farms? What's next?
BQ, I don't really know. Don't really know. That's what's so much fun. You don't really know. I mean, I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. I mean, that never occurred to me. There's some things that with some value-added stuff that, like with the wool, with the yarn, you know, I kind of went, okay, no, not really excited. There's a lot of folks that knit and crochet and do all that and want something from the South, which is, you know, you can't find anywhere. And that, so I'm feeling, you know, pretty good about that. And then I just look and listen and marvel. Like with the CSA, where we're doing now, where Zachary's finally determined that I can't pick all this stuff, bag all this stuff, get all this stuff ready for 150 families in a timely manner. And we've always been, I don't know, I'm not a big labor hiring kind of guy because that brings all kinds of other issues into the farm. And so, you know, we go to meetings and we talk to other people and they say, well, here's what we did in North Carolina. We just said, if you want to be a member of our CSA, we grow it, you come pick it. You can pick all you want. You know, whatever. And that's the direction I know that we're heading in with the CSA is you come, we grow it, you know, and you come and you harvest it, bring your kids, bring your, you know, grandparents, whoever, I don't care, bring it there and you pick, you understand that this didn't just happen. You know, we don't go to Publix or Kroger or Winn-Dixie or wherever and all this is just here all the time. And all this stuff is in season, you know. Can't eat blueberries right now. Coming out of Argentina. They've flown across here. Strawberries, South Florida, okay. But, you know, you eat in season. So, you know, your diet's changing all the time. You don't have strawberries, you know, and ice cream in January. I mean, you just don't do that. Unless you freeze them, unless you pick them and freeze them. So that's kind of where we're going, is to get more involved with many kids, and the teachers don't have a clue where anything comes from. I mean, astounded. We had a group, and I'll share this with you. We had a group of teachers, elementary school teachers, that came on a tour. And I said, we want to show you potatoes growing, Irish potatoes growing. Here we are. Well, where are the potatoes? I am serious. Oh, I didn't know a potato came out of the ground. Where the heck did you think it came from? And these are local Auburn, Alabama teachers. There's a need for some education, and that's one way that we can do it, is put you where you're touching the ground, you're in the dirt, feel it, it's alive. That's what keeps you alive. And I don't think a lot of folks get that you are from the earth. And folks, you're going back there too. So it's a cycle, and you better understand the cycle. Yes, sir.
What's your perception of market demand for organic, local produce and meat like you see it growing?
Exploding.
So there's room for 10 Randle Farms in this.
Yeah. Yeah, there is.
You don't feel like you're just hitting like the upper class, middle upper class niche of Auburn?
No, because I know who our customer base is, and that's not that at all. That's what's the most amazing thing to me is there are a fairly significant number of people in our CSA, I can only speak about ours, that are not highly educated, high dollar people. They are looking for value for their food dollar, and they are voting with that dollar to keep us in business. You vote with your money. Whenever you spend money, you're voting whether you want to see, cheap food or good food. There's a difference. Most folks choose cheap food because they want to spend their dollars on something else. But that is shifting. And it's shifting across pretty much all demographics that we see. Yes, ma'am.
You say your farm, all of the food costs are following the standard requirement of the government, but the products are not labeled as the organic products. So is it because you do not apply for organic certificate, or do you think that in your farm, some aspect that your farm did not meet the requirement of organic?
I didn't get all that.
So, question.
Why aren't you organic?
Why aren't the reason that we're not organic is because there's so many hoops to jump through. There's so many rules that you have to, then you have to have a certifier off the farm, somebody that you have to pay to come say, Frank is keeping all the rules. That just goes against me at a basic level, that somebody has to say that I'm not telling you the truth. That's just Frank Randle. That's why. It's not that it's good or bad, it's just I don't like rules. I don't like arbitrary rules. It's just rules. Yes, ma'am.
What's your strategy when you decide to develop a new part of the farm, like say the business? How do you jump to the idea?
My strategy, I can't hear.
What's your strategy when you decide to develop a project like the wool business?
Strategy when you develop.
I can't, I'm sorry, I've been on the tractor too many years, I can't hear. My strategy for what?
When you decide to develop a new product or a new project like the wool business, how do
Right.
you go about doing that?
How do we go about it? Gotcha. First thing we looked is we had a tremendous amount of raw product because all these sheep get sheared once a year. So we have tons of wool, which is on the wholesale markets worth 80 cents to $1 a pound. We can take it and we can convert 80-cent wool a pound, by the time we clean it, to about $40 a pound. So, there was an economic incentive to do it, and then you do your market research, which you have people that, and Ann did this, you have people, we go to a fiber arts festival, and you walk around, you talk to vendors, you talk to people that are there, and you say, would you be interested at this, at this price point? Would you be interested? Is that a saleable thing? And we do this over a couple of years. We're doing that. So we got kind of a feel for that, yeah, there's potential there. And then we say, all right, we're going to invest, $1,000 in the first run to see what that does. And then we do that. Again, start small. If it doesn't work on paper, it's probably not going to work in real life. Start small. And then whenever we take that initial stuff and we put it out on the market, it's gone. So next time we do, instead of 50 pounds, we do 100 pounds of wool, and we send it off, and we do the same thing again, and it's gone. So we might be on to something here. And so it's a growth process. We don't jump off into anything, hog wild, slow and steady growth. And that lets you, if you make an error in judgment or whatever, you're not going to lose the farm because you spent $500,000 and try to go in the wool processing business. That start small. Yes, ma'am.
How much has research from this university influenced your work in the farm since you have very good relationship?
If I have a good one. State that again now.
How much has research from us, the scientists here, influenced your farm since you have very good relationship with the college?
Research from here. For what we do, there's been very little research from here that has been useful to us. I mean, I'll be candid. Because, and this is, I guess you'd say probably maybe an indictment of the land-grant university system in general, is we have moved away from practical research to applied research and research that is directed to major corporations that are writing your grants. You know, we get most of our information from other folks just like us via the internet. I mean, I'm just being absolutely truthful with you, because it is most of the stuff that we do, we're learning from Europe, New Zealand, Australia, but somewhere not here. And that's a major shift that occurred since I went to school here. Because it used to be, I mean, I learned how to AI a cow here. I bet you nobody here has, no. I learned how to prune here. I mean, actually prune stuff, and then come back a year later and go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. You know, we actually got to do stuff while you were learning why you were doing stuff. And that's been a major shift. And you know, there's lots of reasons for that. Sale of Alabama won't pay for it. Taxpayers won't pay for it. It's real simple.
You fall back on that, what those skills that you learn though, you put the pruning and the AI.
Yeah.
You fall back on that all the time.
Absolutely, all the
More so
time.
than you would maybe your book study or your hands-on.
Yeah, the hands-on stuff. The hands-on stuff. I mean, that's the way I learn, is hands-on. Some folks do not learn that way. I mean, I have learned that. Some people learn, you read, and you read everything. Read everything. Whether you agree with it, disagree with it, read it. Makes you better thinking. But yeah, hands-on for me was that's what I loved about apiculture and being here, because it was hands-on. You know, we do this. That's what I loved about bee inspecting, because it was hands-on, looking at disease issues, and figuring out a way to solve that issue using research, but hands-on, absolutely. Somebody, you know, everybody said you should have gone to technical school. But here when I was at school at Auburn, in entomology. I was an entomology major, but I was given so much flexibility in what electives I took. I took horticulture, botany, animal and dairy science, forestry, wildlife. Everything interested me, and got to interact with all those profs who were as enthused about their particular area as I was, and it rubs off on you. To this day, it rubs off on you. And all of those, and with the exception of one, all of them were guys at the time I was here, had a huge impact on me. Because they all took you in. If they saw that you were sincerely interested in what they were trying to tell you or teach you, come on home with me. You know, we're doing a project here. Jump in the truck, let's go. I did that for 6 years. Worked with the state, it was the same thing. Come back here, I got a problem, come on. Sit around the coffee table in Funchess Hall, talk about it. And you got all those minds thinking. Invaluable, absolutely invaluable. And you can't put a price tag on it. That's why I say I stand on so many people's shoulders. 40 years ago, what? I'm sorry.
4
you purchased your
4
land?
years ago, you first purchased your land?
Yes,
Is that about right?
yes.
What kind of advice would you give to young people right now trying to acquire land and start a
Ooh.
farm with feeding prices?
40 years ago in Auburn wasn't like this. We knew almost everybody in town. I mean, not everybody, but on Ag Hill knew everybody, and that is probably one of the most difficult questions to answer that I've been asked today is how, because that is difficult, because in Lee County, I would say it's almost impossible unless somebody will basically sponsor you or see a little bit of your vision to be able to say, here's a piece of property that would work to do it. As you move outside of here, outside of Lee County, it's just extremely difficult unless, I don't have an answer for you. I really don't. I was just extremely fortunate to be where I am, and it was I didn't plan it, I didn't do, it was just serendipitous happening. I can't answer your question. I don't know the answer. It's one thing age will tell you is finally, you don't have to know all the answers, and you never will. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your time.